So direct variation. Y varies directly as X. In other words, as Y goes up, X goes up. If Y goes down, X goes down. Very directly means that as one goes up, the other one does. They both, if they either both increase or both decrease together at a constant rate. That rate of variation is K. So, and I'm putting stuff over here to help us solve and keep things straight when we're solving problems, working the problems out. So direct variation, the constant of variation, is you take Y divided by X and you get K. If every Y divided by every X, corresponding X I should say, gives you the same number, that's direct variation. Okay? And that's what we're looking for. That's direct variation. And that's what we use to solve direct variation problems. Okay? Inverse variation. The exact opposite. As one goes up, the other goes down. If Y increases, X decreases accordingly. Okay? That's inverse variation. Direct variation, they do the same thing. Inverse variation, they do the opposite thing. Instead of dividing one by the other, if you multiply the two numbers, if you multiply Y and X and get the same value every time, that is inverse variation. Okay? The other variations we have are combinations of these, jointly and combined, using more than just two variables. Okay? That's the thing that's going to get tricky. You got to keep track of which one's which when you're trying to solve problems. Directly, you're dividing them. Inversely, you're multiplying them. Okay? Jointly, there we go. Oop. There we go. Joint variation is a form of direct variation. Okay? It's one variable. The first one varies jointly as the other two. So Y varies jointly as X and Z. The jointly is directly. Okay? Jointly is another way of saying directly, which means when you think direct, you need to think divide. So the one there, Y varies jointly as X and Z. That means Y varies jointly. Ooh, jointly means I'm directly to both X and Z. Okay, so I can have more than two variables involved with this. Okay. Jointly is a combination. Jointly is a combination of directly and inversely. So when you're trying to solve a problem, you always have to think, okay, direct is divide, inverse is multiply. Direct is divide, inverse is multiply. Whenever you see a combination one, it will tell you which ones it varies directly with, and which one it varies which ones it varies either jointly, direct, or inverse. And it's always whatever the first variable is, you're going to take the other variables and do the appropriate thing to that first one. If it says jointly, you're going to take the first variable and divide it by whatever's jointly it. If it says directly, you're going to divide by whatever it says directly with. If it says inversely with that one, then you multiply it times whatever you have. So, for example, in this one here, Y varies directly as in X and inverse is Z. Y varies directly. So I'm going to take Y, direct, means divide. Y divided by X, Y divided by X. Okay. Inversely, inversely multiplied by Z. Y is divided by X and multiplied by Z. Okay. Whatever it tells you, that's what you follow. Whether you divide or multiply depends upon whether it's directly, inversely, or jointly. Okay. So the key to this working here, is deciding which way we set up the problems to solve. Okay. So the first one, determine if the relationship between the variables is direct, inverse, or neither. So if it's direct variation, that means y divided by x equals the same value every time. That would be direct. So I tried to do that. Is 0.25 divided by 1 is 0.25. 0.5 divided by 5. What is 0.5 divided by 5? Get your calculators out. Check it. Yeah, so 0.25 divided by 1 equals 0.25. 0.05 divided by 5 is at 0.25. Yeah, 0.01. So it's not directly. So dividing doesn't work. So then I check, ooh, if I multiply them. Well, if I multiply them, I get 0.25. If I multiply them, I get, what do I get here? Ooh, I get 0.25. Ooh, it looks good, doesn't it? I multiply these two, what do I get? I get 0.25. And do I have to check the last one? Yes, you have to check them all. I multiply it. Once you get two that don't match, you're done with the non-matching. But you have to check them all if they're matching. Multiply the last one, yeah, I get 0.25. If I did multiplying, that is inverse. So that is inverse variation. So now I want to do the same thing on this one. And I start first by dividing. If I take negative 15 divided by negative 3, although you can start with multiplication if you wanted to. You can do that if you want to. Okay. So I get 5. And if I get 25 divided by 5, I get 5. Ooh, looks good for that. 30 divided by 5, I get 5. And 80 divided by 16, what do I get? 5. Ooh, its division's all the same. That's direct variation. Okay? That's direct variation. Questions? Because now it's your turn. Yeah, okay. Well, second. Oh, it did? Okay. So, what do I get when so on this one, let's do this one here with the inverse first. When I multiplied them, what did I get? I ended up getting 0.25. So my constant is 0.25. I have two ways that I can write this. I have two ways I can write this equation. Either one will work. I can say, hey, if it's inverse, that means I multiplied x times y. X times y equals 0.25. What did I get when I multiplied x and y? I got 0.25. Or I can do y equals 0.25 divided by x. Because how would I solve for y? I would divide both sides by x, right? Same thing here with the direct one. What did I do? I divided y divided by x. Y divided by x equals 5. That's what I got. That's a perfectly acceptable answer. However, if you want y equals, multiply both sides by x. Y equals 5x. Either one of those would be fine. Thank you for pointing that out to me. I often get obsessed with solving rather than writing the equation. My bad. Okay. Now it's your turn. Okay, let's do these. So I look at the first one here, and I go, I look at the first one, and when I'm doing this mentally in my head, I want to check it out first. I just 2 times 6 is 12. 5 times 15 is not 12. So it's not inverse. Because I just multiplied the first two off the top of my head. I know it's not inverse variation. So then I want to try direct. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. 15 divided by 5 is 3. Looks promising. 24 divided by 8, oh, that's 3. 33 divided by 11, that's 3. So it is direct. And my constant is 3, so y equals 3x, or y over x equals 3. Either one of those would be good. Okay. I do the same thing on the next one. Mentally, I look at it and I go, okay, 2 times 4 is 8. 3 times 9 is not 8. Okay, so I know it's not inverse variation because it's just multiplying in my head. I don't get the same thing on the first 2 lines. I'm done. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You don't have to check them all. Once you get 2 that don't match, you're done. Then I try the division. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Nope, doesn't work. So this one's neither. And that's perfectly acceptable. Okay. Okay. Now comes the fun part. We've done this. Okay. Y varies directly as x. The key to these problems is right here. That line. Y varies directly as x. That means y over x equals the same thing every time. For every corresponding x and y, when I divide them, I get the same number. Y and x equals 12, so y over 12 equals 3 for y, 9 for x. And we solve it. Yeah, so this reduces to 1/3, makes it a little easier. Multiply both sides by 12. Y equals 4. There are several ways to solve your proportions. I really don't care as long as you do good math to get the right answer. Okay, you can say, oh, hey, 3 over 9 reduces to 1/3. Oh, 4 over 12 gives me 1/3, so y has to be 4. You can do it that way. That's fine with me. I don't care. I'm going to be honest. What I'm looking for, I am looking for this, and I'm looking for that. This word test, I would need to see those 2 things. I don't necessarily need to see how you got the answer, because there are multiple ways, and many of them really, hopefully, I hope you can figure it out in your head. If this was Algebra 1, I'd want to see the cross multiplication stuff, but we're not in Algebra 1. Same xy to start with here. Y over 12 is equal to 5 over 2. Yeah, I can't reduce. So basically, hey, multiply both sides by 12. Y equals 60 over 2, which is 30. What? No, you can do cross multiplication solving. Cross multiplying is fine. Please, if that makes you the most comfortable, please do it. Please feel free. The only reason I don't cross multiply is, where's my variable? My variable's in the numerator. So just if my variable's in the denominator, yeah, I'd be cross multiplying. But because my variable I'm looking for is in the numerator, I don't cross multiply. I just go and multiply by the denominator, get rid of the denominator. Okay, does that make sense? All depends upon where the variable is. Okay, your turn. Do those 2. Okay, let's do this. Okay, varies directly. Y varies directly as x. That means I have y over x. I always like to put that down first so I know what I'm dealing with. So y and x is 18 and x. 18 over x equals 9 over 3. Now, you can cross multiply on this one to solve, or what do I do to 9 to get 18? I multiply it by 2. So I take 3, multiply it by 2.
What?
X equals 6. 9 times 2 is 18. 3 times 2 gives me 6. X is 6.
Well, no, that's the way I did it.
Yeah. Or you can cross multiply and you'll still get the same answer. Okay. I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying, hey, here are some alternatives. Okay. 18 over x equals 5 over 20. Okay, this one's not as easy to do.
Okay, so this one I didn't like.
This one I would go ahead and cross multiply, but if you want to reduce first, you can reduce first. I do like to work with easier numbers. 5 over 20 reduces to 1/4. Cross multiply. X times 1 is x. 18 times 4. Let's see, 40 plus 32 is 72. X is 72. Notice the numbers I'm giving you aren't that hard. Okay. Questions so far? Generally speaking, they're not going to be all that difficult here. There will be a couple. I'm not going to give you stuff that's really nasty. I'm not going to give you fractions or heavy decimals. There's no reason to. Because they're not in calculus.
No, but they're everything else.
Okay. Ooh. This one actually is a lot easier. Y varies inversely. Oh. Inversely means I have x times y. So find y when x is 3. So these two conditions are the same every time. X is 3, y is y. So that means 3y equals this times this. 3 times 9. 3 times y equals 3 times 9. What is y?
Nice. Wait, plus the square. It's kind of ridiculous.
Okay. Yeah, that one's a really stupid one. But if you didn't see it, what would you do? You'd multiply 3 times 9, then divide by 3, and you'd be okay. Same thing here. X and y are multiplied, so I have 3y equals x times y. 2 times 5. So that means 3y equals 10. Divide both sides by 3. Y equals 10 thirds. Yeah, it's a fraction, but you didn't get a fraction until your final step. Okay? Inversely multiplication, directly division. Your key is understanding that first step. Do these two. So once again, this is inverse variation. So it's x times y, y times x, it doesn't really matter. Find y when x is 4, that means I have 4y. X times y equals x times y equals 6 times 2. Okay. 4y, guys. Him. Thank you. So 4y equals 12. Y equals 3. Same thing on the next one. It's still the same original x and y. 4y equals 5 times 4. Okay, what's y? It's 5. Once again, if you multiply it and divide it, you'd still get the same number anyway, right? Look for patterns. Math is about patterns. Okay. Ooh, y varies jointly with x and z. Jointly is the same as directly, means both things vary directly, which means you're dividing by both items. Y varies jointly with x and z, which means I have the relationship y over x times z.
It's just more numbers.
Plug in what you know, solve for what you don't. Here's what I know. Y, x, don't know y, but I know x and z. So I have y over x times z equals y over x times z. Notice I didn't multiply or simplify anything. I just plugged in the values I know. So I don't screw things up. Y over 20 equals 20 over 10. Okay, what's 20 over 10? 2. So y over 20 equals 2. Multiply both sides by 20. Y equals 40. Yeah, you can do cross multiplication. You'll still get the same thing. So cross multiplication, you'll get 10y equals 400. If you cross multiply, you'll get 10y equals 400. Divide by 10, and you'll still get y equals 40. Okay? Please, feel free. Feel free to use cross multiplication. Do what works for you as long as you're getting the correct answer. I'm trying to show that, hey, there's little ways here and there to make life a little easier maybe, but if you don't see it, don't stress it. Okay? Same situation. My first side here is still the same on this one. Y over 20. Okay, so because it's still the first original x, y, and z, then I have to plug in the x, y, and z here. 30 over 3 times 4, which is 30 over 12. Does 30 over 12 reduce? Yeah, they divide them both by 6, right? 5 halves. So y over 20 equals 5 over 2. How do I get from 2 to 20? Multiply by 10, right? Right? If I multiply times 10, which means I multiply by 10, y equals 50. But if you cross multiply, you'll get 2y equals 100. Divide by 2, you still get 50. Okay? Oh, your turn. Okay. So same thing. Y varies jointly with x and z. Y over x z. Y over x times z. Y over 3 times 5 equals 36 over 1 times 6. So y over 15 equals, well, 1 times 6 is 6, and this reduces down to 6, right? Multiply both sides by 15. Y equals, let's see, 60 plus 30 is 90. Okay. Next one, do the same thing. Y over, and we figured out this was 15 equals 15 over 2 times 5. 15 over 10, which is 3 over 2, my bad. So I get y over 15 equals 3 over 2. Cross multiply, or just multiply both sides by 15. Y equals 45 over 2. Okay? Always reduce. No fraction, no decimals. Fractions reduced, yes. Yes. I do believe on the test it says no decimals. Okay, I do believe on the test, if I remember correctly, it says no decimals. Okay, what part of no decimals don't you understand? Yeah, you can still cross multiply. Yeah, but you can also learn how to those calculators will multiply fractions. Learn how to use it. Got to know your tools.
How do you read it like learn it?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Okay, guys. So y varies jointly directly with x and inversely with z. Write a function that models the equation. Okay. So directly with x, directly means divide. So that means I have to divide by x. Inversely means multiplying. So that means I have y over x and y times z. Inversely means multiplication. Directly means division. Take the first variable, divide by anything that's direct, multiply by anything that's inverse. YZ over X. Okay? YZ over X. So Y times 4 over 8. Equals 6 times 3 over 9. Now I can simplify, right? Smaller numbers, or you can just deal with it the way it is. It doesn't really matter. But 4 and 8 reduce, so I get y over 2 equals, well, 6 times 3 is 18. 18 over 9 is 2. What divided by 2 is 2?
4.
Oh.
Well, you went wrong. 7.
I divide what? 1 divided by 2 is 2. 1 divided by 2 is 2. That's what I heard. Because I said what divided by 2 is 2, and I heard, ooh, 1. No.
4.
4. Oh my God.
All right. I'm
I'm gonna have to put a pillow right here, tape it up to the wall if this keeps up. Okay. So, we already figured out, we plugged this in, we know that the original y, x, and z reduced to y over 2. Plug in the y, x, and z on this one. 5 times 6 over 10. Well, what's 5 times 6?
30.
30. What's 30 over 10?
3.
3. So this equals 3.
6.
Okay, y over 2 equals 3. Here we go, here we go, here we go. I'm getting ready for it. What divided by 2 is 3?
7. 9.
Okay, saying something mean doesn't work.
6.
I heard the correct answer.
5. It's a die.
Saying something to try to make me hit my head, that's not funny. Okay, it is funny, but it's not cool. Okay. Your turn. Okay, we're almost there. And I do want to finish up before the end of the period and give you guys your homework. You got a worksheet for today. I want to make sure to finish this before then. So tomorrow, things do turn crappy. We're okay. So y varies directly with x. Y, x in the denominator, inversely with z, times z. Gentlemen, thank you. So that's my situation. Plug into what I have. Y, 4, 2. So that's what I get for here. And then I do the other one. 4 for y, times 2 for z over 6 for x. Simplify, this becomes y over 2 again, equals, let's see, this reduces 4 over 3. Okay. Yeah, you can multiply first and then do it. That's okay. I just like to simplify first to get smaller numbers first before I multiply. And then multiply both sides by 2. Y equals 8/3. Same thing on the other one. I already reduced this to y over 2, the original part, set up. Y over 2 equals 7 times 10 over 5, which reduces 7 over 10 over 5 is 14. So y over 2 equals 14. Multiply both sides by 2. Y equals 28. Okay. Word problems. Actually, I think these are some of the easiest word problems to do. I really do, because it works the same way. You just have to decide what you were comparing and plug the numbers in. So, the volume of a gas varies inversely as its pressure P. So volume, and it gives us V for volume here. and P here. So my two variables are V and P. Inversely means that I do what? I multiply those two. So that means I have V times P. So that means if V equals 80 when P equals 2,000, that means 80 times 2,000 equals find V when P equals V times 320. Divide both sides by 320.
You could turn around.
So I get 500. So your volume equals 500 cubic centimeters. V equals 500 cubic centimeters. cc's, milliliters. They're all the same. But the key to this is, what are the two variables, and what's my variation, direct or inverse? Direct or inverse or joint. Decide the variables, decide whether you're multiplying or dividing, and then do exactly what we just did on the previous problems.
So it goes from centimeters to milliliters?
A milliliter and a cubic centimeter are the same measurement. Cubic centimeters. And milliliters are the same thing.
That's not really,
That's millimeter. Pressure is millimeters of mercury.
okay. I want a question.
Okay. Don't worry, the units are good. Okay, now it's your turn. Here we go. Let's finish this up. So our two variables are S and F, and it is direct variation. Direct means I divide. That means I have S divided by F. And I plug in the values that it gives me. Stretches 20 inches, 25 pounds, 20 over 25 equals, we don't know, over 15. 20 over 25 reduces to 1/5, right? Multiply by both sides by 15. Sorry, not 1/5, 4/5, my bad. 4/5. Multiply, so I have S over 15 equals 4 over 5. Multiply both sides by 15. S equals 12. It'll stretch 12 inches. Okay. Questions?
I didn't actually stop.
Shame on you.
I said it.